It's a difficult decision. When you look at what they've gone through from an ownership, the power they gave Steve Keim last year to be able to revamp the whole organization, fire the coach, to be able to, out of the quarterbacks, they knew they needed a quarterback of the future, and they felt as if with Josh falling to them at the 10th pick.
Well, yeah, they traded up from 15 when he fell.
They really wanted him.
Yep.
They really wanted him. They thought that potentially, when it all started behind the scenes, they thought that just like the Jets thought, you know something, we got the best guy. Now, Cleveland thought they had the best quarterback in Baker, but Arizona was very, very comfortable being able to get the quarterback of the future. Also, they selected a head coach. And they thought that Wilks was going to be the coach of the future. But when you get off of the coach after the first year, Josh Rosen didn't have a lot of success. People question, is he the right guy to move forward? You made a lot of critical decisions that you would get off of in 12 months. So that makes this decision even more important. There's a reason after last year being at the top of the draft that they're back in the top of the draft having the #1 pick. So for me, it's the most important decision they've made in the franchise in a long, long time. And it's hard to be able to get right because we've never seen a guy at this size play the position and play it successfully. Now, is he going to be the guy that you're going to give that responsibility to? And that responsibility is on Steve Keim making this decision, because this decision right here will determine the rest of his executive life in Arizona as a general manager, his overall credibility. So it's very important that they get this right.
Cliff Kingsbury might be able to survive if they get this wrong.
He can always go back to college.
Well, and he also might get more. He could have a longer rope than Keim does at this point. To your point, Steve Keim, whether they stick with Rosen or go to Kyler Murray, will determine whether or not he gets an added tenure to the Arizona Cardinals run, because you don't usually let guys hire multiple head coaches. Like Steve Keim also has had some off-field issues that put him on the hot seat, absent of the on-field performance. So this is the most important decision the Cardinals franchise will make over the next few years. And when you mention Rosen, they traded the 15th, the 79th, and the 152nd pick for Josh Rosen. That's about what it just took to get Odell Beckham. Odell Beckham you got for the 17th, 95th, and a player. This was 15th, 79th, and 152nd. I say that to say this. If they take Kyler Murray first overall, they will have spent the first pick, the 15th pick, the 79th pick, and a 5th-round pick on quarterbacks in the last 2 years. That's what it will have mean. Now, we'll see what they can get back for Josh Rosen via trade, but it won't be 100 cents on the dollar. So how hard is the decision? Well, it's incredibly difficult unless you think you're sure. If this is your guy, if you know, if you are just totally confident, doesn't matter. Rosen's a sunk cost. Even if Rosen was a good quarterback, we would still draft Kyler Murray. Then you do it. You get as much as you can for Rosen, and you move forward. That's not the path I would take. I don't look at the Arizona Cardinals and say, man, if they only had a quarterback. I don't look at the Cardinals the way I looked at the Jags the last few years. Man, if they just had the quarterback. They have so many needs, and they already spent a legitimate amount of draft capital on a quarterback. I think there's a better path forward, in large part because I do believe in Josh Rosen. But I think this is the path they're going down. I think this is the path they want to go down. I'm not reading too much into Cliff Kingsbury before he plays a player in college, talking the player up. But I'm reading that and the tea leaves since then that say they hired Cliff Kingsbury to bring a college-style offense to the Arizona Cardinals, so get one of the greatest college, most prolific college quarterbacks ever.
Well, do you think that the Cardinals think they whiffed on Josh Rosen? Do you think that they said, okay, that was a mistake, even though it's on the board that they just didn't put enough offense around him? Maybe they didn't give enough protection enough to make him succeed last year?
I think as an organization that they would say that if Kyler Murray had decided to go play baseball and he wasn't available. I don't think if Dwayne Haskins is the #1 quarterback in this year's draft, and say Murray's not in the draft, I don't think that they look at a quarterback. I think that they look at, how do I support this quarterback? How do I help my offensive line? How do I get some other weapons outside of Larry Fitzgerald to be able to help him? Can I put a running game to be able to protect him? Because we have seen quarterbacks, Jared Goff recently, where a change of face, a change in offensive philosophy has resurrected a quarterback's career instantly. But there is tremendous pressure to be able to get this right, because not only is the organization, the Cardinals want to be relevant, but look at the division that they play in. Man, you're going against the Rams, the 49ers, and Russell Wilson in Seattle. You need a quarterback. That's why this decision, not only from the organizational standpoint, if you're going to compete, but I'm from the philosophy, man, you make a mistake, I'm willing to admit my mistake. If they feel like he's not the guy internally from what they've seen, man, I would move on from him. I believe there's other teams that will be able to get you, not necessarily dollar for dollar, but I believe you can get a first-round draft pick or a high second round and something else.
Would the Giants give you the 32nd overall pick for Josh Rosen, their second-round pick like that? And then all of a sudden, okay, so we're getting, 60 cents on the dollar back on our investment, and we think that Kyler is the better player, which I think they do believe. But if they go with Kyler Murray, that it is a bit of a franchise reset in this regard. They don't have enough talent on this team. On either side of the football. They didn't have enough talent to make it work for Josh Rosen. I'm going to say something that I don't think's been out there, but I would imagine Steve Keim in his flowchart of decisions has this on the board. If we draft Kyler Murray, do we put Patrick Peterson quietly on the trade block? Do we say that is our best asset? That is a player that could recoup a Khalil Mack-style couple first-round picks, arguably the best corner in the entire NFL? Do we need to treat this as a full-on, total, going to take a couple years, get as much talent as possible? Since they need so much talent, that's one of the reasons why. Now, I do believe in Rosen, that I would, instead of drafting Kyler, I would shop that first overall pick to a team that desperately wants Kyler, because they need a couple offensive linemen, they need another wide receiver, they need help everywhere on defense except for Patrick Peterson's spot. Larry Fitzgerald is there in his, what I would assume is his final year. The Cardinals are, as much as any team in the league, bereft of talent, which is why it's, to me, odd. You're going to fire the coach and switch out the quarterback when you know there's not a ton of talent. And then don't you end up in the same position you were in last year, a young, new quarterback without a ton around him, a ton of weapons, a ton of protection? Except they would say they clearly believe one of the problems last year was the coach. And they clearly think that this coach with a better quarterback will give them better results than last year's coach with Rosen.
The one thing that I worry about with them taking Kyler, and we haven't talked about it much, because what Baker Mayfield did and what they're doing at Oklahoma with the coach there, the reason why Cliff Kingsbury and his offense, the Red Raider offense or whatever they call it, is different than what they run at Oklahoma is into pass protection. They protect the quarterback. The reason why those quarterbacks in the Big 12 and run those offenses haven't been successful, because the pass protection wasn't primary. In the NFL, the pass protection is primary. And that's why Baker was able to be successful in Cleveland, because the system that he ran, it's not the same. So for me, you're talking about not having a lot of talent. I worry about Kingsbury. Is he going to put some protection with that offense that he's run? Because he hasn't run an offense that protected the quarterback the way it needs to be protected. And now we're talking about the smallest guy to be drafted in that type of position. So that's what I worry about. If they do decide to go with Kyler Kingsbury, I've seen your offense, man. I've seen you allow your quarterback to get hit. And there's a reason why Baker Mayfield was the only one. And the reason why, because Lincoln Riley, he changed that offense. What Kyler's used to is different than what Cliff Kingsbury is coaching. And that's a concern of mine. And Kyler's entire starting life in college football, he had the best offensive line in college football. Oklahoma won that award. It's a new award. It's for offensive line as a whole. So he is used to having great protection. That's going to be, he's going to have, on a relative scale, worse protection in the NFL compared to the defenders than he had in college football, no matter where he goes. But the Kingsbury point, what he did at Tech and the way their offensive line worked, is a really interesting one that I hadn't really considered.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.